Hey, Steve Gamache here with a Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. And what we have this time is a cool line of knives. This is the Goko Shitogami or white number 1 Gyuto 180 millimeter knife. And as indicated, the construction on this, it's 3 layers. So in the center hard core cutting edge steel is what's known as Shitogami or white paper number 1. Reactive high carbon steel from Hitachi, so it is a reactive steel. The HRC or heat treat rating on it is around 60-61 Rockwell, so this does not take into a high hardness, which means it's super easy to sharpen and it's very forgiving. These are awesome knives to hone your sharpening skills, no pun intended, and they just make you feel like a champ when you're sharpening. They're great. The construction has soft stainless cladding on either side of that harder core steel. I've been playing with this one, so there is a bit of a patina that's starting to build on the core steel, which will get darker over time and lend itself to a really neat look. The weight and dimensions on these are going to vary a little bit from knife to knife. This particular one is 135 grams or 4.8 ounces. The edge length is about 185, so it's a little bit over 180, and that's about 7.3 inches. The overall length with the handle from the tip all the way to the end is about 12.8 inches. Spine thickness will vary, but these tend to be around the 3-ish or maybe a little under millimeter thickness range on the spine coming out of the handles. This one's about 2.7, and then I measured about 2.0 halfway down. They don't have a ton of taper in the thickness of the spine. That's called distal taper, but you can see it does thin up towards the tip pretty nicely when you get to the grind, and it's a fairly generous grind. So the tip works quite well. It's not like blow through ghost through onions and things, but it works very, very well. The blade height is pretty tall on these. You'll get a little variance, but this particular one is almost 50 millimeters, so it's 49.6, so it's quite a tall knife. What that means is you've got loads and loads and loads of clearance here for a pinch grip or a racket grip from the cutting board. Not a problem at all. The handles are just good quality octagonal walnut with a black packerwood ferrule. Fit and finish is usually pretty good on the junction between these two materials. This one you can feel a little bit, but it's hardly noticeable, but it is there. The handle installed, they don't totally seal it up in there where they drill the holes for the tang, so you may want to put some kind of sealer on that to avoid getting moisture in there. Handle circumference on these is about 75 millimeters or 3 inches where the two woods meet. Balance point on this particular one, the balance point is just about right there, given the little bit shorter blade. And so for me, that's just a little bit behind a pinch grip. And so you've got a kind of a really neutral feel, maybe just a slight, balance towards the handle, but not much. And really nice spot here to put your finger for a pinch grip. There's a lot of room there to put that in the crook of that corner between the choil and the neck. So there you go. This knife handles very, very well. It's easy to use. It's pleasant to use. It's just a nice package. So that's the general gist of everything. I'd say the out-of-the-box edge on these, easy for me to say, is probably a 6 out of 10 on my scale. So it's a pretty decent edge. I did clean it up a little bit, but these things sharpen up so easily that you might want to put your own edge on it and just see where you can push it. These knives will get just as sharp as your skills will allow. The cool thing about these is they've got some what looks to me like engraved kanji. I think it's hand engraved. Some days it's a little hard to tell with some of the techniques they're using, but nicely done kanji. And it's a tall blade. It's kind of what I would call refined rustic, so it's got some character to it. The grinds are a little different on each knife. You'll see a little variance right there. But it has what's called a nishiji or pear skin type finish on it, kind of a mottled finish, and just a nice looking package. So I would call that kind of refined rustic. Each knife's going to be a little different. They definitely have that hand-made character to them. This is a very good performer. It has a nice overall profile, and we'll take a look at that. But I guess let's get our beauty shot here. So this is the right side of the blade as you'd be holding it with the kanji on there. And this is the left side of the blade as you'd be holding it. And you will see this side probably shows the core steel a little bit better. Get our camera to focus in here. So you can see the coloration changes there. So hopefully that can kind of show you where that cladding line is and where that core steel peeks through. That should be pretty obvious there. Just a nice all-around package. I've been using this one a fair amount. It is delightful to use. And pardon me while I blow off my little checker here, my white background, so it didn't have dust on it. So this is just a good, capable all-around knife. It's pleasant to use. It's, again, a very user-friendly package. The steel is excellent, easy to sharpen, fun to use. It's just a cool line of knives. I've got a couple different ones from this line, and I like them all. They're all just a little different. But again, this is a really nice knife and just fun to use, and does a very nice job. So here's the edge profile. What's cool about this is you got a little bit of flat towards the back, 40%, and just a little bit of back belly there. You could even touch that up with a sharpening. Part of that might even be my cutting board. But not too high on the belly on the front part of the knife. So I'm not going to get super high on this, but I can get fairly high and do some nice rocking with kind of low to mid-size ingredients. And definitely a lot of nice push-pull cuts, a little bit of chopping towards the back. So it's a very easy-to-use profile. So again, this knife has been fun to use, and it's just a neat addition to a kitchen. So this is the Goko Shitogami, our white number 1 Gyuto 180mm knife.